Hey guys, Chelsea from Attention to Details, and I'm having a little bit of a garage therapy day today. Working on getting rid of some of my excess chemicals, fixing things that are broken, just trying to organize, make my life a little bit easier. We moved in November, and since then we just kind of hit the ground running with life, COVID, kids, business, everything. So I am finally getting around to fixing my Lake Country System 3000D pad washer. So you can see it's in a bunch of pieces right now. I have over here, this is kind of your main bucket where your clean solution water goes in, and I'll put my solution in a little bit. Then you kind of have your filter and your reservoir where if you put the plugs on the bottom here, you can screw in some plugs and it will keep your dirty water out of your clean water. I'm using a solution that you can actually reuse it, for up to a week based on how much, pad washing you're doing. And it's very affordable, so I just kind of let the water go into there. I'm not, using it super aggressive. If I need to, I can rinse it off first with a hose and then just kind of wash it in the solution. But, I have the springs. I kind of have like the wash pad here and the I don't know what this is called, just the basin that the wash pad goes into that has your springs, your pump, everything, the housing unit for it. So again, springs, screws, this is kind of the main mechanism for the pump. You can see all very, very well made products. When it comes to the biggest issue with the System 3000D, it's this little guy right here. A lot of people, they'll be super aggressive when they are pushing down on the pump, and there's a little green thing right in there, can sometimes snap, and sometimes these can snap here. The part here, that can snap, but essentially that ball bearing has to go right there, and that kind of helps. You put this in here, and you can see how the pump works. Alright, so what I'm going to do, and then you put this at the bottom, that kind of takes your solution, pumps it up to the top, which goes through here. It sprays through the nice umbrella. As you push down, the water comes up through the little holes here, and it washes your pad. You can spin your pad on the surface to kind of agitate, rinse it. That dirty water is going to go down, and it's going to go into your reservoir, your filter, and essentially down into that. So it's a really fantastic way to wash pads. So what I'm going to do, I'm not mechanically gifted. I have never, been that person. I'm going to actually put you into kind of voiceover. Hopefully I can remember. It's very easy to take it apart. It's not so easy to put it back together. So what I'm going to do is try to put this together, with a voiceover. Hopefully I can get it right, but that way I'm not doing 1,000 takes on this. But we're going to try to put it back together, and I'm going to show you how to put it back together. So this may not be 100% textbook how to put it back together again, but this is what works for me. Essentially, you have to put the springs over the holes where the screws are going to connect. The ball bearing has been put back in place. We want to make sure that's there. This is the easiest way for me to line things up. So if you kind of have that underneath, you want to lift the wash basin, kind of up to it, and you'll be able to see through the holes. Line the springs back up into the holes, and then from there, you're going to just drop your screws in and tighten them. You can see I had a couple of the springs that weren't sitting in 100% right, so you just have to kind of play with it. Once you get them in, you'll kind of feel them lock in place. Drop your screws in and then screw them in. You can see one of my screws was actually stripped from the last time that I fixed it, so I ended up having to use a flathead screwdriver, but essentially a Phillips screwdriver should work. Flathead will work as well. Screw everything in nice and tight. And you can see this one just wasn't sitting right. I had to play with it a little bit, but there she goes. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. There's that stripped screw. Now we're just going around making sure all the screws are 100% tight. I know this is so exciting to watch. But essentially you get the idea. Now you're going to take your initial stem
and kind of gently, forcefully push it in place. You'll kind of hear that snap. Then from there, you're going to put the rest of the spring and the pump mechanism together, screw that in place tight, and you should be good to go.
Alright, so that wasn't too bad. I'm not a complete idiot. But anyways, you can see you put your clean solution in here, and every time you push down on the pad, now you'd want to, be mindful that you're not putting 10 pounds of pressure. You can see I'm just lightly pressing and how much water is coming up. Now you also, when you're putting that white initial pump into where the ball bearing is, you don't want to push too hard because you can snap. There's a piece of plastic that's keeping the ball bearing from going too far down. So you don't want to be super aggressive and just kind of, force it in there. But you can see, now what I'm going to do, I actually have some dirty pads. I'm going to put my cleaning solution and I'm going to show you guys just the effectiveness on cleaning with the System 3000D pad washer from Lake Country. Alright, so I went ahead and added my cleaning solution, and this is actually McKees 37 polishing pad rejuvenator. It calls for 1 scoop per 3 to 4 gallons of water, so I just use a half a scoop because there's about 2 gallons in here. Just go ahead, add it on in, agitate it so that it's fully dissolved. And we're going to go ahead, put our filter and kind of catch basin in, and we're going to line this up. Alright, now when you're doing this, what I like to do, some people will kind of lock this every single time they put it on, just that way they don't have dirty water splashing. Alright, sorry about that, my daughter needed a snack. Does anybody else's kids, I feel like all they do is eat lately. Anyways, so a lot of people will kind of have the lid shut on it, put the, polisher in there, kind of close it around it. You can do that, I just find it's a little restrictive. So what I'll kind of do is just kind of close it like this a little bit, but not necessarily lock it. It's totally your call how you want to do it. So you can see I have my Rupes yellow foam polishing pad. It's actually, I used it last week. I haven't gotten around to cleaning them. I know, bad Chelsea. So what we're going to do, just going to come in here. You can see the water, it's actually coming out the sides. And I'm just going to get this kind of primed. And we're going to turn it to a low speed, like 2. Push down while you use it. You can see I'm not pressing very hard. Alright, now if you think it's nice and clean, then go ahead, lift up. And this is where you want that kind of basin in there, because if you're near a car that you're working on, it will splatter. This is the only part that I would say that's advantageous. Alright, and you can see we've got a nice clean pad ready to take that. It's pretty much spun dry. This is stained gray because I used Kosher Chemi M302, and the gray kind of stains it, but you can see it's clean. We're ready to go for the next panel. If I were to come in here with our next pad, again, you can see probably soiled. I use these about 1 pad per panel. I'm not expecting it to be brand new because, again, I've had it sitting on there for a couple days, and also the fact that I'm not, being super aggressive with cleaning. Alright, we've got a clean pad. So that's just a quick demonstration, and guys, this is mostly dry. I mean, it's damp. In fact, when you're using foam pads, you want them to be a little damp because that way they're kind of primed. So you could take something like this. Let's say you're buying expensive pads. These are about $10 to $15 each. They're not the cheapest. You can find them on sale, but you know, you don't want to necessarily have to spend, you know, $100 to get enough pads for a vehicle. Let's say you have one specific vehicle like a Mercedes-Benz, and you've got to buy a specific, you know, cutting foam pad or wool pad, and you don't want to have to go crazy. You can purchase, let's say, 2 or 3 of the pads, maybe even 1. I mean, there are some people, I like to, that way you're not wearing down the fibers using it repeatedly, but you can go ahead and buy less pads and have something like this that's going to extend the longevity of it, and it's also going to make polishing easier because your pads are slightly damp. I mean, I'm not going to be able to squeeze anything out of it. They're slightly damp, you know, essentially primed, ready to go. You put your polishing solution on there and you're good to go. So I hope you guys enjoy kind of this quick look, maybe not so quick, at the Lake Country System 3000D. I gotta tell you, now that I've got this fixed, I remember why I loved it so much. And for any of you who maybe you have a broken System 3000D and you're saying, gosh, I just wasted, my husband calls it the world's most expensive 5-gallon bucket because essentially it just sat in the corner of my garage for about a year. And that's just on me for being that lazy that I just didn't take the time to fix it. But something as small as a ball bearing kept me from being able to use this. I can use this while I'm in the middle of a detail, or let's say I'm done with a detail and I don't want to have to spend, you know, 30 minutes over a sink scrubbing, spraying it with a cleaner. I can do something like this for a minute and be done. So there you have it, guys. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you're stay tuned for any future videos that we have coming out. In fact, I want to do a review on a different pad washing system coming up. The next time I have a polishing job, I want to show with you guys. For those of you who think something like this is too expensive, maybe outside of your budget, you know, I want to show you a little bit more of an affordable option to go ahead and wash your pads, you know, especially on the fly in the middle of a job. That might work for some of you, so make sure you stay tuned, hit that bell for future notifications. That way you can catch that video when it comes out. But thank you for watching, thank you for following my channel, and if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like I said, if you have one of these and it's not working, reach out to Lake Country. Fantastic customer service. They're always just there to help you guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.